Welcome back to Aprende en Casa TV program. I'm your coach, Carlo Galdelira, and today we're going to focus on the language that needs to tell the stories in a more specific way, which is a communication skill, isn't it? And now, it is time to clear your ideas about this new topic. When we tell stories, whether they are based on real experiences or made up to entertain others, it is very common to use the past perfect continuous. When, something happened, when something happened in the past, and this is also called a past event. Knowing how to use the past tenses is very useful, and it is also help us to tell stories in a more interesting way. So let's go to this section and let's talk about and listen to this new conversation that it is about two people talking about themselves and telling our stories in the past tenses. So please, this is a better explanation for you to know how to use these tenses.
Hi, Dali. How are you? I'm sorry that I was late for this appointment. There was a road accident and the flow of traffic was so congested that the bus took longer than it's supposed to be.
How long had you been waiting to get on the bus?
It took me about an hour to finally get on the bus. It's so exhausting.
It's fine now. I had been listening to an audiobook before you got here. I actually love the story.
¿Lograron distinguir los diferentes tiempos gramaticales? Es precisamente en esta clase donde vamos a aprender más de ellos. We're going to focus and take a look between these tenses. And of course, I'm going to share the similarities and differences among them. So don't be afraid. This is a very simple and useful explanation to help you to tell stories and improve your English explanation and grammar. Please take a look to this. As you can see here, como podemos ver aquí, se observa una línea de tiempo en donde podemos ver dos X y una flechita. Esa flechita, esto nos dice los diferentes tipos de pasados con los cuales el día de hoy nos estaremos enfocando. Pero pongan mucha atención. Realmente esta línea nos dice en qué tiempo verbal estamos hablando y en qué momento se está realizando la acción. Cuidado, es muy común que se cometan algunos errores gramaticales. Tomen en cuenta que cuando narramos una historia y para poder conectar esos eventos es importante utilizar los tiempos en pasado como lo son el pasado simple, el pasado continuo, el pasado perfecto y, ¿por qué no?, el pasado perfecto continuo, el cual nos van a dar una idea más específica e información sobre cómo y cuándo van a suceder dichos eventos. Al igual que sucede en el presente perfecto, y el presente perfecto continuo, el pasado perfecto es muy similar al pasado perfecto continuo. Comencemos con la explicación. El pasado perfecto se refiere a acciones, sucesos o eventos que habían sucedido en el pasado antes de que ocurriera algo en un determinado momento. If you want to tell the story and you need to go back more to talk about something that happened before that moment of the story, the only way to do it is using the past perfect. Es exactamente lo mismo que se muestra en la línea de tiempo. Here we have an example. Chris knew that Karen hadn't wanted to come home. Puede notar que la primera parte de la oración comienza con una acción en pasado simple, que es el knew, y lo podemos ver en color rosa. La segunda parte termina hablando de un pasado perfecto que sucedió antes, y este es hadn't wanted en color rojo. Observemos la siguiente situación. Here is another example. Both of these activities happened in the past. However, one happened before the other one. ¿Cuál de estas actividades sucedió primero? ¿Cuál de ellas sucedió después? First, I have an example here that says 7:30 a.m. I washed the dishes. 8:15 a.m. I went to work. La acción que sucedió primero va en pasado perfecto y la segunda en pasado simple. Here, it's a common way to write or say these two actions using the past perfect. Before I went to work, I had done exercise. Or after I had washed the dishes, I went to work. Can you see the differences? Did you understand better? Ojalá haya notado que el pasado perfecto es la acción que sucede antes de otra acción en pasado y este pasado es simple. Por otra parte, el pasado perfecto continuo nos ayuda a expresar un evento o acción en proceso, una acción que había estado sucediendo antes de que otra comenzara en el pasado. As you can see here in this other example, we have Georgie had been chatting for 2 hours before his boss arrived the bus. The office. Georgie había estado chateando por 2 horas antes de que otra acción sucediera. En este caso, hablamos de que llegara su jefe. There's a small difference between the past perfect and the past perfect continuous, because this last action was in progress during the first time in which the past action happened. We also use the past perfect continuous to give the cause of a past action. To make it easy for you, I recommend you to not use most of the time past perfect continuous. Well, why? You use past perfect instead of it because, well, just in case that you wanted to use it, it is better because we need to emphasize the continuity of an action. Aprendientes, no se vayan todavía de esta clase, porque ¿qué creen? Todavía tenemos mucho más cosas que ver. Vamos a ver la estructura gramatical de estos tiempos. Por favor, tomen notas y pongan mucha atención a la siguiente explicación. You're probably familiar with the structure of past tenses in English, right? Well, as you have seen before, in all other tenses, we use sentences in 3 different forms. And the past perfect and past perfect continuous are no exception. Let's see their characteristics without forgetting that in both tenses, the auxiliary or helping verb is always, and never changes. We have the past perfect here, yes, so what is the use of it? We have an example here, and it says, we have slept very well. We have slept very well. You can see that you have the subject. It is a positive form, by the way, yes, and you have a positive form with subject. You have the auxiliary form that is had. You also have the past participle, that is the main verb, and or complement. But what about the negative form? When we have a negative form, we have to use the not. Yes, so we have the subject, the auxiliary verb that is had, plus not, and the past participle of the main verb. Interrogative forms are those that are used with the auxiliary verb at the beginning of a sentence, but be careful, because if I want to use that, I have to use it, and my answer, by the way, is a short one. This is called a short answer, yes? So if we have more information or more exact information, we need to use a question word. Examples of question words: what, where, which, who, what, and then I have my auxiliary verb that is had, plus the person that is the subject, plus the past participle form, and then my complement. Let's see another tense that is past perfect continuous. And we have another example here that says, he had been drinking milk out of the carton when Mom walked into the kitchen. Yes, as you can see the structure here. Yes, as you can see the structure, we have the same one. We have the same auxiliary verb form, but what about the other part? We have a subject, we have the auxiliary verb had, but we need to use another part of the past perfect that is been, and then the ing form of the main verb, that actually is a continuous form, plus my complement. What about negative forms? Okay, in this type of sentences, we need to place the not between the auxiliary or helping verb and the past participle. The past participle, don't forget that it's the verb to be. Okay, so we have a subject plus an auxiliary verb that is had, not, plus the past participle being, plus my verb with ing form, and then my complement. And in writing, we often contract the first auxiliary verb and not. What is that, guys? Well, what you have here is that the had not is a contraction. Yes, there is a contraction here that is hadn't. Yes, so an example, the subject, well, my mom, yes, my mom hadn't. My mom hadn't, yes, so I don't use had not. I can use hadn't, yes, and the structure that we have already seen. Interrogative forms. For questions, for this type of question sentences, we exchange the subject and the first auxiliary verb. We have the auxiliary verb had plus the subject, the person that we want to talk about, and then we have been plus my verb in ing form, that it's the continuous form, and my complement, but a question word, it goes at the end of a sentence, or it's placed at the end of a sentence, yes? No, this is for, don't forget that when a question starts with an auxiliary verb, my answers, it's a short one, so I have yes or no answer. And we have we need to add more information to the sentence or the question, yes. So we need to use the question words that are what, where, who, which, and more. Aprendientes, ¿qué le pareció a ustedes la información que les acabo de presentar? Now, it's your turn to put all of these activities into practice, yes? So for the following activity, what you have to do is to focus on the past perfect and or the past perfect continuous. What you have to do is that you will have a sentence there, yes, and there is a verb in brackets, yes, so you have to take this verb in brackets and use it in the tenses that you think are the correct one, all right? Como se pueden dar cuenta, en esta ruleta tenemos 6 enunciados, cada uno con un verbo entre paréntesis. Tendremos que observar y decidir en qué tiempo gramatical lo vamos a utilizar. Considerando los minutos en televisión, les pido que solo contesten las oraciones indicadas con color rojo, amarillo y morado. El resto son de tarea. If you paid attention and you probably practiced the structure, you're ready to complete them. Let's start. Veamos el primer enunciado. Y dice, she studied English for 3 years when she took the exam. ¿Estás listo para resolver este enunciado? Recuerda que tenemos que utilizar el verbo entre paréntesis, ya sea en pasado perfecto o pasado perfecto continuo. Utilizamos el pasado perfecto continuo porque esta actividad fue realizada por un tiempo límite. Quiere decir que estuvo en progreso, hasta que otra fue interrumpida por otra acción. No olvidemos que la forma had been no debe variar según el sujeto en el que se conjugue. Entonces, el enunciado quedaría de la siguiente manera. She had been studying English before. Yes, she had been studying English. Continuemos con el color amarillo. When we arrived, the film, in brackets, start. Leamos la oración. ¿Están listos? Are you ready? Ok, tenemos aquí de acuerdo al sentido de la oración, estamos hablando que tenemos un hecho ocurrido en un momento antes de otra acción. El orden de la oración, recuerden que puede cambiar sin modificar el significado. Y la oración correcta sería, when we arrived, the film had started. Vayamos al último enunciado. En este enunciado tenemos una expresión que dice so. I, in brackets, study all day, so I was tired. Entonces, ¿cómo creen que quedaría el enunciado? Had studied or had been studied. Por ello, les voy a dar algunos segundos para que lo analicen. Recuerden que, y no se los comenté anteriormente, que para indicar la causa, efecto o consecuencia de una acción, se debe de utilizar el so o because, porque expresa razón o causa. Quiere decir, entonces, que la respuesta es I had been studying all day long, so I was tired. ¿Cómo les fue con el ejercicio anterior? Seguramente tuvieron algunas dificultades en realizar este ejercicio. Espero que no. Esta fue una pequeña introducción y explicación sobre el pasado perfecto y el pasado perfecto continuo. For the next activity, what we're going to do is that we have two events, and you have to join them together into one exercise. Yes, to one event. But don't forget, guys, that you only need to use the past perfect continuous. Okay? For example, primer evento, we watch TV. Tenemos como segundo evento, the light went out. En la explicación que se dio anteriormente se dijo que debemos de utilizar la primera oración o el primer evento que se hizo en pasado perfecto continuo. So, if we have this, guys, we said that we had been watching TV when the light went out. Nosotros estábamos viendo televisión cuando se fue la luz. Okay? So, este es solamente un ejemplo. Vamos al siguiente. Ahora sí, veamos nuestros ejercicios. Now, it is your turn. I got this activity to help you practice everything you learned in this lesson. Recuerda que debes de unir los dos eventos en una sola oración y asegurarte de usar solamente el pasado perfecto continuo. Let's get to it. If you need pauses to write your answer, don't worry, it is okay. My first event is Jane waited for the doctor for half an hour. And my second tense is finally the doctor arrived. My second exercise says, she worked at Bimbo for a long time. Finally, one day she became the manager. Recuerden que debo de ver cuál es mi primer evento o acción y después unirlos para terminarlo. ¿Están listos? Veamos las respuestas. Y mis respuestas son las siguientes. Jane had been waiting for the doctor for half an hour when finally he arrived. Event number 2. He had been working at Bimbo for a long time when one day he became the manager. Esta fue una pequeña sección para ver un poquito más sobre su aprendizaje en esta clase. Seguramente pusieron su mayor esfuerzo otra vez. Estudiantes, una cosa más. ¿Recuerdan la conversación que vimos al inicio de la clase? ¿Sí? ¿No? Bueno, pues tal vez tuvieron algunas dificultades en relacionar los tiempos verbales. Pero estoy segura que ahorita, después de toda esta explicación, podemos vincular todos estos tiempos en una sola actividad. Así que, ¿por qué no consolidamos nuestro aprendizaje? Y como última actividad, les pido que escuchen de manera atenta la siguiente conversación que vimos, como le había comentado al principio, entre Cheyenne y Dalidai. Les pido que lean detenidamente los diálogos, analicen el pasado perfecto continuo y, por favor, en su libreta anoten y hagan alguna traducción de los diálogos que ustedes están viendo aquí. Todo esto para consolidar su aprendizaje.
Hi, Dali. How are you? I'm sorry that I was late for this appointment. There was a road accident and the flow of traffic was so congested that the bus took longer than it's supposed to be.
How long had you been waiting to get on the bus?
It took me about an hour to finally get on the bus. It's so exhausting.
It's fine now. I had been listening to an audiobook before you got here. I actually love the story.
Recuerda entregar esta actividad a tu docente de inglés en clase, en tu escuela. Hopefully, you feel more confident using these tenses. And now you can have more practice at home and get more comfortable with them, with these tenses, the past perfect and the past perfect continuous. Students, take your notes. And now I know that you are able to do these type of exercises and tell the stories and write your own ones using these past events. Students, guess what? The class is over. It was an excellent experience being with you during this day. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Hope to see you soon. Thank you and goodbye.